Welcome to my new series in the studio and my first YouTube video. So within this series, I'm going to be showing you the entire process from start to finish, including styling, photography, and my editing process. So for this shoot, this was for a Gold Coast candle company called Ancient Candle Co., who specializes in creating gorgeous candles ranging from vessel candles to the ever popular torso candle. So for all my clients, I send out a questionnaire which goes into the direction of the shoot that they're wanting to go in. This includes such things as color palettes, particular types of photos that they're wanting, if there's any product combinations that they're after within the photos, props, as well as backgrounds and that type of thing. So my client had a really clear vision of where she wanted the photos to go, which helps me immensely within the briefing and creative process as well as my planning process. She really wanted to showcase the scents and the fragrances within the vessel collection that she has, as these are scented and the torso candles are not. The color palette was a range of terracottas, creams, pinks, as well as incorporating stone elements and some black as well. So for the backgrounds, I used my Everyday Co vinyl backgrounds that I use in basically all of my shoots. I also used cardboard for the black background and stone that I purchased from a local hardware store. For the vinyl backgrounds, I do actually have a code that you can use for 20% off your order, and the code is CODYZOPHIA. If you're wanting to have a look at the selection of backgrounds that they have, I'll leave the link in the description for you. So when the planning process begins for me, I look at the questionnaire, I write down everything that they have said, whether there is must-have shots for certain products, different product combinations, as well as all of the bits that we just covered, so background colors, prop selection, that type of thing. So within this shoot, she mentioned that there was product combinations that she wanted, mainly focused around the different types of candles that she has. So the vessels as well as the torso candles and the column candles. So these were combination shots of all of those different categories. And then obviously I sat down and planned individual shots for each of the individual candles that she stocks. When planning, I try and evenly distribute the amount of photos I take across all the different products that they have. So in this instance, there's a variety of different products. I think there was around 4 torso candles, there was 3 columns, and 4 or 5 vessel candles. So I really make sure that each candle has an even amount of photos, as well as obviously taking into consideration the product combination shots of the vessels, torso, and column. When it comes to the plan for this shoot, I make sure that I obviously incorporate the concepts that she's really after, so the incorporation of the ingredients as well as the floating matches, and I make sure that I definitely get those shots within my shoot plan. Apart from that, with this shoot in particular, I just kind of went with the flow. If I had any ideas on the spot, I just went with it to see how it would go and just kind of allow the creativity to take place within the use of experimenting with the props that I had and that type of thing.
I've gone ahead and placed the products I will be using within the shoot on a table just so it's easy to access and to see what I'm working with. Some of the props I've got here are fruit, mirrors, columns, some arches. So this photo will be the floating match photo that she requested. So I've just placed the candle on a slab of broken stone. I'm using the helping hands to blue tack the match too. I obviously wanted the match to be lit, but that was just way too difficult. So I'm going to edit that in post. And I've just set the camera up on a tripod and that's it. So this one I'm editing in the shadow because I'm one person and I can't take the photo, hold the candle and do the shadowing. I'm using ingredients. This is one of the glass vessel candles. So it is pear and honey scented. So I've just placed the pears to the side to frame it, and I will be using the helping hands again, hence the name, to hold up the honey dripper, which I'm just using blue tack to stick onto the kebab stick, and I'm just going to pour the honey onto the honey dripper. So this is another glass vessel one. This is an Australiana themed fragrance, and I originally wanted the Australian natives to be kind of like framing it by hovering, but it just was not working. So I ended up just placing them around the rocks. It's on sand as she wanted those natural elements within the photos. So as you can see, I'm placing the sand down with just a spoon to make sure it's where I want it to be. This is a coconut and lime candle, so I've placed the coconut behind and the limes to the side to frame it, and I'm using the palm leaves to frame it as well. I do recommend actual palm leaves. Having to use that is an absolute pain as it's so big and bulky. So this is another glass vessel. This one is rose scented. So as you can see, I've placed it in between the Roman columns, and I'm using the Roman columns as a way to frame it. I've placed some silk fabric behind, and I've just placed some pink roses around as to where I think they best frame the photos. You can see Luna in the back having a sleep. So this is another fragrance. This one is tobacco and honey scented. So I've just placed the candle on a broken piece of stone using the helping hands again. And the same concept, blue tacking the honey dripper to it, pouring the honey onto the honey dripper. And I ended up editing in the tobacco because I obviously didn't have tobacco laying around. So this was just the easiest option. You can also see that I am using boards to create the shadowing around the candle as well. So the editing. For me, I always start off in Lightroom. This is where I select the photos, I bring them in, and I make all the minor adjustments. So things like the brightness, the contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, and any type of color correction if they need to be color corrected. So in this shoot, for example, some of the images, like this photo, the orange really was too orange. So I obviously messed with the saturation for that. I then go through and make any adjustments or tweaks to the photos themselves. So shadowing, highlights, if it's overblown exposure wise, I bring that down. And I also in Lightroom is where I make my first crops. So 1x1s or 4x5s for Instagram. I've duplicated the image 3 times in this edit, so the original copy will be just a backup image, the second will be the actual photo that I'm working on, and the third will be where I cut out the match to use in the image. So here you see that I use the lasso tool to just go around the match and select it, and then I inverse it to erase the entire background. I do this so that I can move the match to wherever I want it to be within the photo. I've then selected the second layer again, and I'm using the clone stamp tool to remove the helping hand and the kebab stick. I'm then using the healing brush just to remove any imperfections or marks on the background that I obviously do not want to be there. I've selected the dodge tool and I'm just going in and brightening up any areas on the candle and the background that I want to be lighter than what they are. I've just pasted a flame from a previous photo that I took. So I obviously wanted the flame to be in the original photo, but it was just way too difficult to achieve with the match being suspended and just the wind and everything. So this is the easiest option to do that. I've then selected the paint tool and I'm just going through and painting on some black onto the background just to make sure that the color is even and it's as dark as I want it to be. The eraser tool's being selected and I'm just going over any spots within the photo that I obviously don't want the black to be over the top of. I'm using the select and mask tool here just to select the candle and the background. This just makes it easier to be able to erase that particular area without affecting the actual paint layer. To finish, I'm just using the Smart Sharpen tool just to sharpen the object. So to begin, I am going in with the healing tool and just removing any spots that I don't want. I'm using the patch tool to remove my tattoo, and then I'm going back in with the healing tool just to clean up that area and remove any black spots that I don't want on my skin. I'm now using the select and mask tool to select my hand and the candle, as I will be placing this on a other photo that I took that actually has the shadowing effect on it. I'm only one person and I can't create shadows as well as hold a candle, so this is how I go about doing this. I'm just going in with the spot healing brush on the background and getting rid of any imperfections that I don't want. So I'm using the burn tool just to darken some areas as it wasn't as even as I wanted to be light wise. And then I'm just going in with the paint brush and lowering the opacity and just painting the areas that I want to be lighter and more of an even color distribution. Like the previous image, we are going to duplicate this photo. To begin, I am doing content aware fill to extend the background. I'm then using the spot healing brush just to remove any imperfections and marks in the background. Lasso tool to select the helping hand that I want to remove with the clone stamp. I'm then using the spot healing brush just to clean it up. Again, using the lasso tool and the spot healing brush, and using that same combination again to remove the shadowing of the helping hands. So I've done a new layer and I am going over with the paintbrush just to make the background more perfect. I've then selected the objects. This is the easiest way to be able to remove the paint layer from over the top of your objects. I'm then using the spot healing brush just to clean up any areas such as the imperfections on the pear, any marks on the glass. Any areas that need to be lightened, I'm using the dodge brush just to remove those shadows.
Thank you so much for watching. It is greatly appreciated and I hope you really enjoyed seeing a behind the scenes of one of my shoots and a little explanation as to how I go about everything. I've got some more ideas in the works for future videos, so if you have any questions based around this video or if you have any suggestions for future videos you would like to see from me, please leave them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you again.